Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Owen Finch, and I'm here with.
AJ Talent, and this is finally a review of the Breaking Bad minisodes, miniseries, whatever you want to call it. Um, been doing want to do this for over a year now. If you don't know what these are, and I don't blame you, these are like the little clips, extra things that kind of expand the Breaking Bad world. These kind of aired like throughout the Breaking Bad series. I think
Yeah.
you said in between season 1 and 2 mostly, but there was one like leading up to El Camino that we watched. And yeah, it's
I think there
just
was
a
some
fun little thing.
I think there was some doing like season 4 and 3 too, but because when I was going through the DVD, some of the episodes that I saw of those were on here, um, and I think there might have been some for season 5, but I couldn't find any. So if that's the case, we'll have to wait and see. But before we actually start the video, you got a story to tell
And
because
just I'm not going to go like in detail about every single one because some of them are just kind of they're just kind of like there.
yeah, let me set the
So
table
this is
though.
more highlight.
Yeah. Let me set the table though, because before we start doing the review. So yeah, we've been wanting to do this for over a year. Like we're gonna do this and then another Breaking Bad thing like right after it. But we got like a funny story to tell. Because we've been trying to do this for over a year. Today was gonna be the day we do it. But AJ, since you're kind of the one that was there, like when the story was happening as in real time, wanted to talk about kind of what was going on like on your end before we even like got to this point.
So okay, so normally, I'm a college student. I wake up at noon every day, but today I had to wake up at like 8 for an appointment. And that worked out good because we were like, okay, we're gonna film this at 10 a.m.
I kind
At
of
like
screwed up.
9:50.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
kind of
yeah. You kind of started you got the
yeah.
ball rolling, but
So
it
I'll
just
mention
kind of
my
spiraled.
I mentioned it on my end first. So yeah, I kind of screwed up because I tried to ask AJ, "Are you going to be ready to go in an hour?" But I forgot to put the question mark in, and so it sounded like I was saying I'm going to be ready to go in an hour. So I think I texted him that at like 9:50. Um,
So I thought he meant like oh, we're gonna push it off hours. So instead of 10, we're gonna Skype at 11.
yeah. So yeah,
I'm like, oh okay. Then I was like, okay, well I have an hour, so I guess I'll grab some breakfast.
so that was my bad.
I walked.
I should have either put the time, ask will you, or just put the question mark. Then that would have we probably would have been on here earlier. But
I
then it
know,
gets
right? We would have been done.
but then it gets worse. Wanted to
Um,
talk about what happened from there.
so I went to go get breakfast. The place I usually go to was closed, so I had to walk an extra 10 minutes, go to a different place, came back here, and I didn't finish eating till like 11:10 or like 11:05. I'm like, okay, it's a little late, but whatever. I turn on my laptop to go to our Skype call, Discord, whatever you're gonna call it, and my laptop decided I'm gonna take an hour to load. I'm gonna take a literal hour to open everything up. And what's worse is when my laptop opens up, it opens up everything. Even the shit I closed, like it opens up Word documents, Safari. If I have used an app on this iPad, it will open it for some reason. And the worst part was everything finally loaded. I clicked Discord and Discord disappeared. And I was like, where is it? I had to search through my whole entire laptop. I had to go scroll through my applications to finally find it because it just disappeared from my desktop. Load Discord, load like 5 updates, go onto Discord and call Owen. It has been a fucking nightmare.
So from now on,
Yeah, that's been my.
and honestly, we probably still would have been getting on here around now too, even if I didn't screw up earlier because of his that. So from now on, me and AJ agreed that he's gonna open his computer up like a half hour before we do a video, so that way we can actually do the video when we say we're gonna do it. So
Right. So again, in case my laptop decides to do that, because it tends to do that now, I noticed.
I gotta check something real quick. By the way, hold on. I gotta stop the recording real quick.
All right.
So I had to make sure you were gonna be able to hear me because I didn't want to do this whole thing and then find out you couldn't hear me.
Right. Just minor cut there,
Yeah.
sorry about that. But anyway, Yeah, so that was the process leading up to this. But now that we finally did it, it's been a year. We're finally going to review these minisodes.
And we're excited
Or
because
just kind of
yeah, we're just gonna kind of talk about them. I'm excited about this because today, like, we'll still do Breaking Bad stuff, but today is going to be like the last of the Breaking Bad videos for a while, just because we've been doing nothing since me and AJ have started doing videos but Breaking Bad stuff because we thought we were gonna like
and definitely.
yeah, indefinite. Well, that's a different topic, but because we're not done with the Death Note videos, even if we finish the Death Note stuff we say we're gonna finish. So
Right.
but yeah, I'm pretty excited about that because that's all me and AJ have done because we thought we were going to be done like after we finished both series, like maybe 2 years ago now, actually at this point. And then the movie came out. We did the season reviews, and then everything just got jumbled because we couldn't do the season reviews when we wanted and stuff. So we're finally going to be done with the Breaking Bad stuff and everything. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, let's talk about these minisodes. So what the we should say about these minisodes is I don't think they're really made to be like they're still good, but they're not really made to be like fantastic like Breaking Bad is because of the minisode. So you shouldn't go into this expecting like fantastic stuff, like the camera, like some of the camera work isn't the best and stuff.
Like when I told you about these, like you didn't even know these existed, you know?
Yeah. So,
and that's fine. Like you don't need these to enjoy it. It's just kind of like adding a little like, hey, this is what the characters do in their like daily life, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is kind of cool in a sense because like when they do like time skips or when they do like when you see stuff like happen not on screen, it shows like they're doing stuff off screen and stuff like that too.
Right. There are definitely a lot of good examples of that we'll talk about. I guess we'll kind of start off with like the ones we thought were just kind of like forgettable.
Well, let's start with those. So yeah, let's start with the ones.
So I guess the first ones would be because these are like the majority the salt commercials.
I got the playlist open, so I'll just kind of go through like the ones that aren't as memorable. So there's one I could talk about. So there's one where Jesse, Badger, Skinny Pete, and I think one of his other friends, like they were like in a band together. They kind of talked about it a little bit in Breaking Bad, but it's not really brought up on. Well, they actually did like a thing where they shot like a video, I think, where they sent to like MTV or something to like, make it big. So it's cool that they kind of had
this. Which, honestly, as a stoner in like his early 20s, this seems pretty in character for Jesse.
Yeah, and Badger and Skinny Pete, and I think it's kind of cool because Badger actually is the one that does sings the lyrics of the song, and Jesse, like there's a whole video of it where they actually sing a song called Fallacies, but they show like the outtakes of like everything that kind of went wrong, and it's kind of Jesse the one that's screwing up. So I think that kind of fits with like Jesse's story of the show. And I think this also kind of shows like throughout the show, Jesse always thought that like making meth was the only thing he's good at. Well, if he wasn't such a stoner, I'm not saying he could have, but maybe like if he had put his focus all toward this, who knows where the show would be right now, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, and by the way, so we haven't talked about Badger in forever, obviously, because he's kind of just like a minor character. But the Final Fantasy VII remake came out, and he voices Wedge.
That's cool.
So it was just kind of funny, like because it's like you always have those characters where you know them for that one role.
Yeah.
So it was always really weird in like playing the Final Fantasy VII remake, and it's like, oh wow, that's just Badger from Breaking Bad.
He's actually in a movie called The Layover, I think it's called.
Right. So it's the same situation when we reviewed The Negotiator. Hank's actor was in it.
Actually, the funny,
like, oh hey.
Funny thing is too, when we're gonna review that movie, it's not good, but what in that movie, I don't think he actually he actually sells rocks, which is pretty cool. Like that's like his job.
Yeah,
so that's kind of
they're not rocks, they're minerals. Yeah,
I actually think they actually do that joke in the movie too. So, but
yeah.
But yeah, I thought,
like you were saying, it's kind of it's sad, like looking back, like Jesse had so much potential, and he really could have like done more with his life, but he screwed it up. But also it's kind of just meant to be funny. Like he thinks he's like this rock star, and he's just like he's mid, he's average, I guess.
I think this is kind of cool because they kind of talk about it a little bit in the series. Because he goes when he gets thrown out of his aunt's house in like season 2, he goes to like one of the guys' house who was like in this band, and like they're like singing that song. So I think it's kind of cool, like that connection right there.
Yeah, and I just like we get to see like Jesse like just hanging out with his friends, because like in Breaking Bad, Jesse's not having a good time, so it's kind of nice to just see Jesse like goofing off.
Then there's one with Marie where like her therapist told her to like make like some type of like tape that went through like her confession. I think it's literally called Marie's confession, and it's just kind of
right.
I can't really, I can't.
It is kind of interesting because it's like we know people who are addicts, and it's kind of like very different situation, but you can kind of see Marie like like she's doing like the addict thing of like she's blaming it on like different things, and like she's kind of like trailing off trying to change the subject, I guess.
So it's pretty cool. A lot of it's hard for me to pay attention to because a lot of it's just talking about nothing. So it's like, but it's
yeah. Again, that's kind of the whole point. But like, and that's why it's good that it's not like in the main show. It's just like a little extra thing.
It'd be kind of cool though if that was kind of brought up in the show though. Like he found that.
Yeah, Marie's kind of like not super important in Breaking Bad. So
yeah, and then we'll talk about the Saul commercials. They do like mini stuff with Saul in the show. There's one that shows like security cam footage, like what he does in his office, like kind of life in a day, where he shows like him getting a blowjob, playing golf. I think it shows him like clipping his toenails and just kind of what he does in a day.
Yeah, just Saul being Saul, basically.
Probably nothing like you don't actually see him meet with a client because I would imagine they probably turn the cameras off when a lawyer meets with a client because that's stuff that's supposed to be confidential. But I thought it'd be cool.
Well, especially Saul, because he's doing like criminal stuff.
But I would imagine, like as a lawyer, you don't want to have your cameras on, anyways. I'm saying so. I think, but he does like other commercials and stuff. He did one for like if you got like attacked by a tiger, which is just such a Saul thing to do. They did a callback to Badger did one where they did like the exact thing that happened in Better Call Saul, like when he got arrested, except they altered it to make it look like that it was Saul that got him out of jail when it was clearly the opposite. It was pretty much Walt and Jesse that got him out of jail using Saul. So Saul did get him out of jail, but obviously it wasn't the real story.
Right.
They did one with Wendy where she talked about like a situation that Saul had, how she got like arrested. They did one with some guy named Fernando who like stole his mom's vehicle and got out of jail the same day, but his mom's still in jail, and basically threatened Saul like in the commercial passive aggressively to help
right,
get him.
So clearly just Saul being a scumbag,
They did one with Carl. I didn't really watch that one again because I forgot, but it's basically I imagine it's the same thing except different.
Right, and it's just you get the point. It's like Saul doing like goofy commercials and Saul being Saul.
So now that I've seen Better Call Saul, though, I think one thing we got to talk about. I know we'll review Better Call Saul later. I think it definitely shows how low Saul Goodman / Jimmy McGill is sunk. If you haven't seen Better Call Saul, there's a spoiler right there for his name.
But Jimmy, that's not that big a deal.
Yeah, but that he used the air raid crash thing to kind of like becoming like using his legal services, because you would never really imagine Jimmy McGill really doing something like that.
Right, like Jimmy McGill could do like shady stuff, but like he would not take it. I don't think he would, at least like just take advantage of like a giant plane crash to be like, oh, I can just use this to get money.
Yeah, but
it's like the same thing in Breaking Bad when he just kind of ignores the fact that like a kid died in season 5.
Yeah. Well, almost died, yeah.
But again, it's like, like this is like for minisodes that like are throughout the series. I don't know why you're watching this if you aren't familiar with Breaking Bad.
Well, I was saying Better Call Saul because some people who are probably watching this maybe you haven't seen Better Call Saul.
Well, I was mentioning like something. I was mentioning season 5 of Breaking Bad. That's why I said that.
There's another one,
There's yeah. Which one are you talking about?
the Team Science one. Want to talk about that one
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
since you just watched it?
Mhm. So this is from like season 3, you know, because like Jesse was bringing up like his old pictures of superheroes to Jane, and you know, this is another one where it's like it's funny, but like once you like see the end of the show, it's kind of sad because it's, you know, again, like Jesse had so much potential that he really just kind of threw away. And it's just like a goofy little commercial of like um you know, just like his friends as like superheroes, and it's called Team Science because, you know, the science thing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Um,
And I like at the end it was like to Mr. White because I don't know. It's also a sad thing how Jesse looked at Walt like a father. It was like trying to impress him.
um, I think those are like all kind of like the throwaway ones, pretty much. That like really don't like you really don't that are kind of really don't mean as much and stuff. Like the ones that we didn't really uh particularly like take a huge amount of interest in.
Right. Like, and then, yeah, even like Team Science is like the most unique because it's animated, but like again, it's kind of like it's there. It's not super interesting.
So I guess another
Um,
one that's kind of like a bit of a throwaway one too, though, is they do a thing where like Hank and Marie try to make like a sex tape, pretty much.
yeah, yeah. This one was. I think this one's probably the funniest.
And like Marie's trying to like use cop and like terms to have sex, but Hank's just over
Yeah,
explaining it. And
yeah. She's being like, you know, the bad cop, I guess. You know, she's wearing, you know, handcuffs and like the outfit. But Hank, you know, he's a DEA agent, so he's like really like stickler about like the term she's using, and he's like, come on, and I don't know, it's just funny.
it's really cool because this is basically kind of what the relationship was in the show, like where Hank would always correct Marie about certain things and stuff like that, or call her out when she's being judgmental about stuff and all that type of stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And then you can definitely tell this is like season 1, early season 2.
yeah, we thought it's
Just
probably right
Hank
before
act.
the Tuco Hank shootout incident because he's acting very honestly, it could be even before the Breaking Bad series itself too. But we don't really
Yeah.
know because they don't talk.
Speaking of something that's before the Breaking Bad series, good segue, me. That would be Hank's wedding, and I think we definitely agree this is like one of the best, if not the best one
Yeah,
of the
definitely.
minisodes. It's supposed to
Yeah,
be the longest. It's like 5 minutes long.
yeah, this one's cool. So this is like right before Hank's about to get married to Marie, and Walt. I don't know if he's the best man or what, but I think he is the best man because he's the one that threw the bachelor party. That's typically what the best man does.
Yeah,
So I think,
I was just gonna bring that up. And normally that's like the best man.
and
And first of all, I like how it's you know, like purple everywhere at the wedding. You can definitely tell it's Marie. And Hank, I'm like, Jesus, dude, your hat. You're like, oh my god, I forgot this was New Mexico for a second. I'm like, Jesus, what is this, Texas?
I liked the attention to detail. Like Walt looked like younger, like he looked younger because obviously this is before the Breaking Bad series. So the probably I don't know how long Hank and Marie have been married, but it's clearly um, this might have been like either
Been
probably
a good couple
before,
of years, I'd say.
huh?
I'd say it's been a good couple of years, like
Yeah,
maybe like eight, 10 years before Breaking Bad, I'd say.
I would say so.
Because you know, Walt's like 50 at the very beginning of Breaking Bad, so he's probably like, you know, like late 30s here.
Um, but yeah, Hank's nervous. Typically, you have like wedding nerves, so typically the best man's supposed to like talk the groom into going through with it. But Hank's nervous because after the bachelor party, he went out. I think he kind of like passively aggressively basically said that Waltz wasn't the best, so that's kind of why he went out and like had like a better time before his wedding and stuff.
This was a pretty funny interaction where Walt was like, "Hey," Hank was like trying to like suggest like the brick and the because this is Walt season 1, so it's like he's not like he's not like a criminal yet. He's kind of just like Ned Flanders basically. So Hank was basically like saying like Walt threw a crappy bachelor party. So and although I do like the interaction where it's like Walt's like, oh, like, oh, sorry, and then Hank's like, okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm being mean. I love you, man. It's just nice to see them like be like friends with each other.
And then
I do like this is only like the second time someone actually says the term like Breaking Bad in the show.
Well, I think what's cool about it,
Hank.
Yeah, because I know. I think what's cool about it, because I want to. Hank talks about how he went and basically slept with a hooker, and that's why he feels bad about it. Like he basically like went too far, pretty much.
Well, I mean, slept in. Okay, well, I'll get back to that, but I want to go back to like the beginning of Hank saying he's feeling nervous and he's beating around the bush and he says like, hey, like I might have like done some stuff like in the past, and Walt was like, oh, okay, whatever, we all break bad at least once.
Okay, yeah, I forgot he said
and
it.
And then Walt makes, because the only other time someone ever says that in the show is Jesse in episode 1, I think. But so Walt's probably thinking like, oh, he must have like like a past relationship, and then Hank kind of makes it more clear. It's like he did something when he was in a relationship with Marie, and Walt was like, oh, okay, that's pretty bad. But I mean, like, when was this? Like beginning a relationship? And Hank was like, like 8 hours ago, and Walt's like, Jesus Christ,
He throws up like in the
nothing this extreme, but like I think we've all had that one friend where they keep beating around the bush, and the more they keep talking, like the worse it gets.
And then I think it's kind of cool. Like it's Walt, that's even said like you broke bad one night. We all break bad every once in a while. So he basically motivates Hank to go get married to Marie and stuff like that. And that was kind of the end of it. But I thought this was really cool because. What's up?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll say it after.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool because maybe for me though, because I had a different experience probably than you did when you watched the episode. I think I told you this was when we were going back and we watching like the Breaking Bad for like to prep for the movie coming out and stuff. I saw this episode I think the same day. I think it was even right after it, like the garage scene, tread lightly episode happened. So I think that made it kind of cool for me to watch like this minisode. This is probably why it's my favorite one. Yeah. Just because
it's funny because everyone was mentioning that clip in the comments on the YouTube video for this minisode.
Yep. So I think it's just pretty.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's just pretty cool, like how like it just went full circle like that. But wait, what were you gonna say before that?
Yeah, sorry. I think there's a weird delay on Discord because like every time like I think you're done talking, like I start and then like, and so I think it's just a weird delay.
We're still getting used to Discord, yeah.
Right. So that's just a little whatever we gotta get used to. But I don't know if you picked up on this. Because you said like Hank slept with the hooker. Okay, well, so he didn't like sleep with her because he even says to Walt like, oh hey, it's not technically cheating if like she like he says like she gave him a blowjob and then Walt's like, oh no, that's not bad, and he's like like he turns upset and he's like, oh my god. You're just trying to talk Hank into like going through the wedding and like keeping this from Marie. And Walt like, this was bad, but rough start, and you can make it up to her from here. Like telling her now would like break her heart. And I don't know, again, like this situation is just funny like later on because like it's like Walt's basically like the advice Walt's giving to Hank is like kind of the same advice he used to like justify his actions later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't know if you picked up on this. So Hank says, "Oh man, this girl was like 10 out of 10, like best girl I've ever been with." And bar full of dudes, and she picks me. And then Walt's like, "Wait, hold on, a bar full of dudes?" And then Hank's like, "Yeah, that bar down on whatever street." And then Walt's like, "Oh, Jesus Christ," because he realized this was a gay bar.
Yeah.
So the girl Hank slept with wasn't like actually what he thought.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, so that's what makes it even worse. But no, this is a
so that's what I meant by like people always mention that like tread lightly scene, or like the scene in the desert in season 5, where it's everyone was like, wouldn't it be funny if like after Hank arrests Walt, or like in the garage scene, Walt just like, you slept with a trans person,
yeah,
or you slept with a dude,
I know, yeah. I mean, obviously it wouldn't fit, but that would have been funny.
Just kind of just a funny thing.
But no, yeah,
just to clarify, nothing wrong with trans. I'm just like, it's funny for the character.
Yeah,
because Hank's like the super.
What?
I just said it's just funny because Hank's like the super macho dude, so like that would hurt him real deep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I honestly, but it probably would hurt him the least though after what he goes through the show, though. So,
I think that's debatable. I think that is debatable.
But no, I mean, this is just I think this is my favorite because of obviously everything that they go through the show. Like, it's cool that Walt was the one that kind of talked Hank into marrying Marie and all that type of stuff. I'm taking a serious tone. Imagine if Hank had arrested Walt, and then Walt said, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have even married Marie to begin with, probably. Like, that would have just been cool.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. If only Walt talked Hank out of marrying Marie, he would have solved all his problems. Yeah. Well, actually, then again, he never would have started cooking meth because Hank was the one who showed up. We're getting off topic, but you get the idea. This is really sad looking at what they end up, but it's also like heartwarming to see them like be friends and like be brothers.
Well, since we're talking about like that thing, even though this was something we found. You found it actually. So apparently, there's a thing called Hank's Back, where it shows him like coming out of the desert,
like the hole they got buried in.
Yeah, and telling
we
Gomez.
Couldn't find anything on this. Like, we didn't know if this was like official or like a parody. It's it's the actor Dean Norris, and like. Even like parody stuff, like the Super Bowl commercial with Walt, they don't say he's Walter White. It's just like you're supposed to know. Yeah. But here, like he mentions like Gomez and like the neo-Nazi, so like it's like I'm assuming this is like official.
I don't think it is though, because
because I don't know, because normally parodies don't like mention names.
I know, yeah. So I really hope this isn't official because it would it would ruin the show a little bit if he did survive.
Well, this is obviously just like a joke.
Yeah. So I don't know if they did this like
it's just like Hank. It just Hank pops his head up and he's like, "Oh man," and he like pulls the bullet out of his back of his head.
No, I think I know.
And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll avenge you. I'll avenge you. Take down that neo-Nazi prick."
I think I know. The reason they did this, but I can't say the reason because it would be a huge spoiler for you. But I think okay. I know why they did this though, and we can talk about it when we actually review and a certain episode and stuff. That's all I'll say. So,
okay, that's fine. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's also a little thing we didn't even know about till right before we started this recording.
Yeah, because we
on YouTube.
Yeah, but I think I know what this is for.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. And then we have like another one that's pretty funny. This was like probably back in season 1 time frame. So I guess while Walt was
Definitely not
away,
like later seasons, that's for sure.
no, definitely not. It's definitely like probably before Tuco.
If this were later seasons, he would have just like blew up this lady's house, and that'll make sense in a second.
Yeah.
So you want to explain it?
So he goes to the neighbor's house, and I think this was meant to be the same neighbor. I'm not sure that like he calls and like has to go into his house so he could like so she would prevent Tuco, not Tuco's, Gus's like minions from like killing him, so he could go get his money and stuff. I think this was meant
Tuco's
to
cousin.
so um we find out, I guess, while Walt was away and stuff. I don't know if he was working or if he was like cooking meth. Skylar had a garage sale, and she sold the vacuum cleaner, and he needs Badger to come pick the lock. He's like an expert at picking locks.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
You know, because Walt hid his money in the vacuum.
I should say though, like he didn't.
So that's why.
It's not like he. Keep forgetting about the delay. I should say though, it's not like he didn't know it was Badger. He said Jesse knew a guy to do it, and it was Badger that was the guy. So, so this is actually like the first time like Badger and Walt have met, and I do like kind of though because
well, they've met before.
When have they met before?
Because this is definitely isn't the first time they say they met. They like Walt knows who he is.
Oh, okay. I thought I guess maybe he just didn't know he knew how to pick locks, so he called Jesse and he just called Badger and stuff. But anyhow,
right, yeah, because he says like he's like, "Hi, Mr. White," and like Walt isn't like, "Who are you?"
Yeah,
okay, so maybe this isn't season 1, but it's early season, because obviously again it's like Walt would just blow this lady's house up if he if she accidentally took his money.
But like yeah, this is a pretty funny one because like Badger doesn't actually have the lockpick because apparently he like keeps it up his ass, and I like Walt's reaction like, so why would I keep a lockpick up my ass? I love Walt's reaction to that. They like. And like he comes up with the idea to like beat up the old lady just to get the vacuum cleaner when it's literally like they
and Walt's like no.
And I think it's funny too because he's like, I'm not going to beat up an old lady when it's literally right there. Like he can like see the vacuum cleaner like out the door. Like,
and just funny like later on he blows up a retirement home and he was like, I don't want to beat up an old lady. And it's just funny because it's like, we don't really see these two interact in the show,
Yeah. But then eventually we find out that
they talk, like one-on-one.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty cool. Eventually we find out she just keeps a key under the mat, so they just go get the vacuum cleaner. I thought that was like you could clearly see why this was a mini-sode because this probably wouldn't fit if they actually put this in the show, but I'm glad.
Oh yeah, this is like really pointless. It's just like a funny little just funny little adventure they had off screen.
Yeah, it's cool.
Little shenanigan they get up to. I really liked it. This is probably my favorite of like the like just one-offs that like aren't very important.
Yeah.
Like Hank's wedding, I think is pretty important. But yeah, this is kind of the one where it's like you don't need it, but like it's fun.
Yeah. I think
definitely one of my favorites.
You could see why like I think that's Walt. You could see why now Walt needed Saul's services because he was literally keeping money in a vacuum cleaner, and it's like, yeah, I can't have this happen again.
Yeah, I know, right? It'd be funny if this got referenced like in the show where like Walt mentions like Skylar sold his vacuum with the money in it.
Well, Saul does mention like when he's asking Walt like where he keeps the money. I think he did say a vacuum cleaner. I don't think this was a thing yet, so I'm wondering if that spoke the idea. Like Walt was probably like, yeah, I don't want to. So now that you know this context, Walt's probably like, yeah, I don't want to have my vacuum cleaner get sold with my money in it again. He does mention too, he tried to buy the vacuum cleaner for like double the price, like what the vacuum cleaner actually like. She must have really liked this vacuum cleaner, like if she wasn't
right. It turns out like she's like also a meth dealer and she's like hiding her money in there or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Or like just hiding money in there in general.
Yeah. So Walt's like, man, there's like more money in here than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we still have 2 minisodes left. We just kind of like covered the just like the ones that aired throughout the series. These ones were made.
Like after the
One of
series.
them was made leading up to El Camino. Yeah.
I believe we should talk about the El Camino one first since it happened, because I want to save the last one for last, because of how great it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So this one, it's pretty
yeah,
quick. Only like what,
you
2
talk
minutes.
about this one,
Um,
the El Camino one.
so it's Todd. It's Todd. He's like painting a little figure, making a snow globe, and he's also like talking to himself, thinking about asking like Lydia to hang out and like go on a date with him. He finally calls Lydia, and Lydia's like, "Hello," and Todd's like, "Hey, I just wanted to catch up," and Lydia's like, "Catch up? Yeah," and he just hangs up.
But he wasn't
Which
talking to
pretty
him.
in line for Lydia.
He wasn't talking to himself though. He was talking. He like because it went to voicemail and he left her a voicemail. So I think that's what you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, but in point he wasn't talking to her, but and then like she answered and just hung up immediately. Yeah, and the whole time he's just making a snow globe, which is why this clip is called Snow Globe.
Yeah.
This is just again, Lydia's a bitch. So but I don't blame her here because it's like Todd's really freaking creepy.
Yeah.
Which
Honestly,
it's just like yeah.
Honestly, who knows what would have happened had like Walt and Jesse like not gone to like the compound and like they probably. I have a feeling Todd would have like kidnapped Lydia. Honestly, he's so like he's that crazy and stuff. Like
Right, yeah.
Like once she, because obviously they couldn't keep producing product forever and stuff. Like they were eventually going to run out of methylamine and stuff. Once she was done with him, she probably would have tossed him to the side, and then it could have been ugly.
Yeah.
But this is cool though. I think this is like this is cool though. I think this is like the snow globe we see prominently future, like when Jesse goes and actually gets his money, from Todd's house. So I think that's what makes it kind of cool. But I want to talk about the best one. It's not really a mini series. It's more of an
I didn't see this one until today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
This is an alternate ending that happened, but I think it's important to talk about because I think we meant to talk about it when we did the season 5 week review, but I forgot to. So I want to talk about it now since it's we'll have another chance probably. So let me set the table for you. Obviously, Bryan Cranston plays Hal and Malcolm in the Middle and Walter White in Breaking Bad. And obviously, everyone kind of talks about how funny that is because it's 2 completely different roles.
Right. A lot of people joke like, oh, at the end of Breaking Bad, Walt didn't die. He just changed his identity and, went to Malcolm in the Middle. Or like people joke like, man, Breaking Bad, this new Malcolm Middle spinoff or sequel is like way more intense than I thought it'd be. That kind of thing. So, people joke about them being connected.
They did something with it. Bryan Cranston directed. Yeah. They brought back the actress from that plays his wife in Lois and Malcolm in the Middle. I don't remember her name off the top of my head because I'm really bad at doing YouTube sometimes and don't think to do that type of stuff ahead of time. So.
Yeah, and I didn't really watch the show growing up that much. Yeah. I got reruns a little more before my time.
Yeah, and a bit before mine too. So,
yeah, you were the '90s kid. I was the 2000s kid.
Yeah, but it's still a bit before my time because that's kind of like an adult show. That's kind of an adult show, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Yeah, well,
yeah, we know a little bit about. Yeah. Well, the clip starts off with the the desert scene, the say my name,
and then with Hal wakes up in like a nightmare. Well, he wakes up that after he had this nightmare, and he talks about like basically the events of Breaking Bad, and I thought this was, in a sense, this was kind of like the play scene from Avatar where they kind of made fun of the show a little bit. where they talk about
Yeah.
like how Jesse was like someone that dressed up like he dressed up and said, "Yeah, B word," and because I think Hal was afraid to say it, he just said, "Yeah, B word" and stuff. So I thought that was cool. They
Yeah.
talk about
And
like,
I like how he said like he's like a man child, and like just looks like he's constantly wearing his like big brother's clothes.
yeah,
Because he always wears like clothing in the early seasons.
yeah, he talked about like how he wears how the only thing that was realistic was that he hangs out in his underwear and stuff like that because obviously that's a Walt thing in Breaking Bad. Um, he
Yeah,
talks
yeah,
about
and he's
like,
like, I cooked meth, and like there was this guy who like rung his bell and didn't talk, and like I had a brother who was a police officer or something,
he makes some sort
and
of reference, but probably that's something that Dean Norris was in because he mentions he looks like someone from somewhere else. So I think that was a reference
yeah,
to.
he's like he looks like the guy from Shield. He said,
Yeah, so that might be an X Files reference because Vince Gilligan wrote that too, and I just looked it up. Dean Norris was on an
yeah,
episode,
and
so that might.
I'm pretty sure Bryan Cranston was in the X Files too.
Yeah, so that probably they probably did a scene together, so that's probably what the reference is.
Yeah,
And then
it'd be funny if he said he looked like the guy from
Negotiator.
Negotiator.
I know that would have been great.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, then she talks about Lois continues to make jokes, saying like he's just trying to get out of taking the kids to school tomorrow. Um, about like how she never really cooked anything, and then she asks, "Where was I in all this dream? Was I trying to talk you out of it?" And then he says, "I was married to some beautiful blonde," and she's like, "Yeah, in your dreams." And I like
yeah.
that. Obviously, I love before she like goes to bed and ends the conversation. She says "Goodnight Scarface," which is a great reference because that's basically what where the Breaking Bad kind of got its influence from.
Right, yeah. Well, Vince Gilligan even said like he was like, we're gonna take Ned Flanders and we're gonna turn him into Scarface. And it's funny because like Hal from Malcolm in the Middle is like basically the real life Ned Flanders.
Yeah, that was pretty cool scene. And then they kind of
Yeah.
recreate like
So,
the end of the first episode of season of episode 1, the very first one.
yeah, but Lois instead is just like go back to sleep.
Yeah. Good thing Lois wasn't in the
and then
Breaking Bad. Good thing Lois wasn't in the Breaking Bad universe. I don't think Walt would have even gotten to that
oh yeah,
point.
well, wouldn't even be a series. She would have just told him to stop it, and he would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clip ends with him saying "Goodnight, Skylar," and it pans over to a chair, and it's got like the black hat that Walt wears on it.
Yeah. Like
So this is canonical. Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad exist in the same world.
no, this is great though.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
I did tell AJ though, like think about like I don't know how like what the feeling would be if this was actually the ending of Breaking Bad though. Would people be happy about it? Would they be mad about it?
I said like I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be happy with this.
Yeah, it'd be funny though, like if this had actually happened like after Walt's death, like that would be even funnier. Like
Yeah. Or you know what? Just like the series really does end with the "Say My Name." Like this is just the end of that episode. Series over.
yeah, that would be
Hank never finds out. It was everything was all a dream.
yeah, but this was great though. Yeah, and that's basically the entire like miniseries. We typically do letter grades. I'm gonna do mine first. So technically, if we're including everything, I'll give this like a B minus, mainly because for the Hank episode, the Badger episode, and this alternate ending. I do think it adds context, like it shows Jesse if he had what potential Jesse had. I thought that was kind of cool. Everything else is just kind of whatever for me. But the others, those are kind of hit. It's like
these really are mini episodes for a reason.
I give it like an 80% too. Like it's like a low, like the lowest B minus you can ever give something. So I'm gonna say
like
that
for most of these episodes, give them like a high D, low C. Like they're just kind of there, you know.
Yeah.
Like I don't hate them, but like it's like okay, that was a way to spend 3 minutes of my life.
If we're like, if you combine them all, like just review, like because we're kind of grading them like all together. What would you like give them?
Altogether, like Well, because yeah, there's like for the boring ones are just kind of like a D plus.
Yeah.
But like there are some funny ones like the Hank and Marie one, and like the Walton Badger one that I really like, and there are some I legitimately like think like add to the world, like Hank's Wedding. The Snow Globe one's pretty all right. And I love the Malcolm in the Middle one. So I think those bring it up to like a C minus.
All right, so yeah, so
I'd say like the regular ones D plus. The ones I really like a B minus, C plus. So I say it evens out to like a C minus.
yeah, they're decent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. We've reviewed this. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. We have one more Breaking Bad video we're gonna do for a long while, so make sure you watch it because you won't get any Breaking Bad videos for a while. So the only ones you'll be able to watch
we definitely will come back to it eventually, but we just got to take a little break from it.
the only ones you'll be able to watch for a while are like past ones. So you better make sure you watch this next one for like real time one, or real time like in terms of the upload date and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Check out CM Brothers because we're basically pretty much gonna finish all the Death Note stuff soon. We want to watch, and then check out Wrestling Fortune 44 for all my wrestling stuff. And then what do you got going on in your world?
Ancient Talent. I'm making videos about like the Zelda games, and I haven't uploaded it yet, but I'm working on it. I just downloaded iMovie, so I've been editing stuff, trying to fiddle with that. Maybe talking about like just like lore and like history of like these fantasy worlds that I really like doing stuff like that. So check that stuff out if you're really interested in like fantasy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
My talent is, I don't know if I said my name.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.